The following is brought to you in part by System Blue. Products and education. System Blue. Previously on Inside BD360.
So right at the fermata, we all hit the same pose. CC takes his jacket off, and that's like everybody in the whole corps has their uniform changed by this point, with CC taking his jacket off. And then roll into the ground.
We're all gesturing up at Evelyn, and she has the glockenspiel that represents our past. And we're all gesturing up at her, and in the music, someone from the front ensemble plays a ding, but she pretends that it's her.
It's kind of that flashback, that final flashback before we take off into the new era of the show and the new era of drum corps.
Ladies and gentlemen, the corps on the field, the conquered Blue Devils.
Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond.
Fixing some tubas, or a tuba, I should say. The valves are a little gummy, and it's because there's this buildup on the outside, this black buildup, which is just dirt and old oil. So we're gonna rinse them off with some water and a rag, and then put some fresh oil on them. Just like you have oil in an engine for a car, the pistons are moving, just like in a car, and they need oil, otherwise they'll get dry and then get really sticky. I mean, there's the holes at the bottom of the valve, right? These guys, and that's so the valves can breathe a little bit, and so like extra gunk and stuff can get out, but it's a two-way road, like it'll also come back in. So when we're on a dusty field or if it's windy out, that stuff is going to blow up as you're playing and get stuck in the valve. And that's really what the black coating is. It's a combination of what you're blowing in, like lunch, and then dirt. 'Cause that's like good as new, and all I'm doing is wiping off your spit and gross stuff and dirt. So what's the lesson you learned?
Take care of the valves.
All right. How often?
Once a week.
Very good. All right.
Yeah.
Hooray. And cut.
Like any sophisticated organization of its size and stature, Drum Corps International maintains a distinguished Hall of Fame. This year, the Blue Devils are once again honored as color guard instructor TJ Doucette joins the 2017 class of DCI Hall of Fame inductees. As only the 8th woman ever to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, TJ is a remarkable instructor who continues to advance the activity with her attention to detail and commitment to education. A unique leader who has had significant impact on the lives she has touched.
A little mixed, I guess, a little stunned, a little mortified, sort of. George O called me to tell me about it. I was sort of dumbstruck. I didn't know what to say. I think it's a cool thing, but at the same time, it's not something I sought or expected, you know.
I'm very proud of you. I'm very thankful to have you in my life. I think you're amazing. I know you hate the sappy stuff, but I love you.
You were a key player in the BD village that raised me, and I will be forever grateful for that.
My family was a drum corps family, so it started for me before I remember. I started marching, I think, when I was 5-ish, but I was home at Christmas a few years ago, and I saw a picture of a christening and someone in uniform, and I asked my mother who it was. She looked at me and said, "You idiot, it's you, who do you think it is?" And it was my godfather in uniform, like on his way to a parade at my christening, so I never escaped. But I remember from about 6 or 7 on in the all-girl corps my dad taught that I marched in for a while. I was a mascot. I guess technically I was too young to be in the corps. Then because he was a horn instructor, he wanted me to go in the horn line so he didn't have to drive me there every night of the week. But ended up in the color guard after a bunch of years being the drum major and kind of accidentally landed in color guard. So I guess you say everything happens the way it's supposed to in some ways. It was an accident.
Thank you so much for everything that you've done for the Blue Devils organization and all of the countless people in the color guard that you've changed their lives for the better.
You have always been a role model and continue to be, and I just love you so much. Congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame. I sure love you.
Being in a drum corps family, my mother and father, all the cousins, the uncles, everybody was involved. Even my Uncle Joe marched in the drum corps, managed the drum corps that Chick Corea marched in actually in Massachusetts. So it's kind of all the family in there percolating through my whole life. So they're kind of all an influence in that way. But I would say my grandmother, she was really feisty. I have this great picture of her. It's a photo of like in the 20s, and she's standing in front of one of those great old cars and standing there looking at the camera really defiant. And her name was actually Mary, but she got nicknamed Molly because they said she was like a gun moll. And she was a hoot. She was hilarious. I think she not so much taught me, but gave me permission to do what I wanted, you know, and not feel like I had to kind of follow along. So that was definitely a big influence for sure.
You have just always been such a role model to me because of your strength, because of your drive.
I'm so proud of you, and you've been such an influential person in my life.
I really did move here to get away from it because I was born in it, with the same friends and relatives, and I wanted a break. I really wanted to come here to go to school. I desperately wanted to go to Berkeley. I wanted to go there very badly. And then I found out they had one of the best English programs in the country. I was like, okay, it's all meant to be.
So grateful to have been able to be taught by you. And I know there's a million other people out there just like me that feel the exact same way.
Your intelligence and just being a badass is part of the reason why you're in my bank of mighty and powerful women.
This is my personal philosophy, I guess, but I don't really articulate it, but it's kind of embedded in what I do. It's not the spinning. I think when a person discovers their own control over their future, you have to admit that you're in charge of that. You're your own power. You have to drive your life. We'll give information to guide, but I really want you to apply your energy and your ambition and your will to what you're doing. You take it. You have your own willpower and control over what you do. So I think that's the most important thing. It's those intrinsic skills, not the spinning.
You amaze me when we're in the box. You amaze me with your dedication to the students year after year, your knowledge of the activity.
Congratulations, TJ.
Hey TJ, congratulations on your Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, TJ, for your DCI Hall of Fame. That's well deserved.
Really proud and happy to be your teammate and experience everything that we did together. Congratulations.
I got so many emails from people who are already in the Hall of Fame, and a lot of them were names I've heard and people I've never even seen face to face. But what a lot of them said was the stuff about your relationship with your students, and I thought, wow, how do they know that even? How do they know that kind of matters almost to me more? The spinning and the stuff we do is the vehicle for a person finding out, oh wow, I can be more if I choose to be, and only I will get in my way.
Well, decided to make a color guard checklist. So
we can stop forgetting things. So just make sure that we have everything before a show. It's very helpful. Most important thing is confidence. Always, 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 always have to have confidence. Everything.
As we move into the heart of the ballad, audiences are rewarded with one of the most musically and visually fruitful parts of the show, an abundance of joy and color across the field.
I play the opening motif of the second half of the ballad, which is Everything Must Change. And that's just pretty straightforward written line. I kind of embellish it as the solo goes on. It starts off kind of simple, and then I add bends and turns and just kind of little jazz embellishments here and there to signify the element of change throughout the ballad. So I'd say one of the hardest parts about the ballad is we have to line up the front ensemble with the melodic line, which I'm playing, to the snares that come in. And so, those are three different sources of tempo, all looking at CC and trying to come in at the same time and play.
The snares come in again with 8-note pickups, chum, 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 chum. And then we play some more roll passages, but with more modulations, like 16 notes. Yeah, during the roll passage, we have this thing where I go from the end to 3-in, and then the guy that's 3-in, Joseph, he goes into the center, and everyone just kind of knocks each other out. The difficulty with that is, like, we're changing the environment, and we're having to listen to different people, and we're playing next to different people. We have to change our balance as we're changing our environmental demand with drill.
So we've got the horn soloists on top of the props, and then we've got the snares playing, and then there's this slow build-up into this giant flag feature, and it starts off with one person, and then it just progressively grows to take up half the field.
The challenge here is that we're in straight lines, so the exposure there is something that most people don't take that risk because of the difficulty that comes along with it in cleanliness. So we've spent a lot of time really analyzing each millisecond of checkpoints to make sure that that's looking really pristine as we add on, and that we're not looking like we're interrupting something as we come in or exit from the choreography, and that it's just a very seamless add-on. Very dynamic. There are parts where the silk is constantly in motion, and then we'll stop it for a little bit and we'll just do 4 counts of body, and then we'll go right back into it. So it's never just the equipment working. We really stop and take time to demonstrate control of an angle on the flag while we move our body in different ways. And one of my favorite parts is we take the flag and we do a roll over our arm, which then goes around our neck, and then the flag is trapped in between our neck and our shoulder, and we do a cartwheel as it's there, and as we come out of it, we drop it back into the other hand.
When we first hit the big opening statement of Everything Must Change as a full horn line, it starts off, we're just screaming trumpet over the horn line as they come in, and then there's a kind of a conversation on the field. It starts off with me, then it goes to Scott, then Mikey, and then to Kevin, and we're all calling and responding to each other.
Towards the end of the ballad, the entire Blue Devils horn line standing behind me, blasting their faces off, and I have to play clean licks. I'm mic'd, so they're gonna hear whatever comes out the bell, but I can't hear it. So that's my biggest challenge, I think.
So the cool thing about this ballad is that the staff has given us kind of the freedom to do what we want night to night. And so, you never know what you're going to get from each show. It'll be different every night.
I'm improvising on chord changes, like, it's just cool. It's really great. Like, I'm not nervous or anything, it's more just playing music. It's super exciting to just be able to play music. Like, I go up there and it's just happy.
Next week on Inside BD360.
So in the drum break from C to D, there's a lot of body movement within the 5-lits that we play. The demand is really high just because bodies are all over the place, and at the same time they're 5/6 patterns, and so having that along with flams and diddles like assorted throughout the notes, it's making it really challenging. And it's cool and it's fun to play something that hard for all of us and something new.